Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Neurodiverse Astrologer. I am so excited to be here to talk with great astrologers, great friends about astrology and neurodivergence and how they can come together and how they can support each other. And I have someone that is so near and dear to my heart, Sarah Jones. She is AudHD like me. She really was the person that I went to when I found out I was autistic. And she provided so much support. And she also encouraged me to look at my chart. I met her in my astrology certification. So she's really been special uh, guider, mentor to me. So Sarah, tell us a little bit about you and how you got into astrology in the first place.
Perfect. Well, hello. I I feel like I need to combine the two. So I self-diagnosed with autism when I was in my late 30s. So I had just gotten married. I'd been researching it for 2 years. I realized I was autistic because my husband is autistic, but that's a whole don't tell. When you come out of your autistic closet, not everyone comes out of their autistic closet at the same time, right?
So true.
We just don't. But it took me 2 years of research and that first year of marriage because of the difficulty of all my programming changing, all of my routines just got thrown out. It was really the aha of, oh, my dear sweet girl, you got some stuff going on in your brain.
Mhm.
Um, and because of that, I continued to move forward. And then we realized over time that it wasn't just autism and that in my entire family I have a sibling and all of their kids are diagnosed clinically. I have another brother that's diagnosed. My mom is diagnosed. Like everyone is ADD, ADHD that's diagnosed in my family. And I was like, oh, well, fancy that. I think
There
that's
you go. Family
extra
patterns.
oomph, right? So there's a self-diagnosis, just full disclosure. However, I can guarantee you I have the whole entire list of all the things of how I just show up. This is the AudHD thing, right? We blend in a little bit differently because we have one brain that's going really fast, one part of us that's going a little slower, and it's this like dichotomy of this two people inside of one energy. So there's that.
Absolutely.
Because of that, though, that's what drove me to really want to understand myself. And as I was going through this whole realizing who I am and wanting to learn who I am, I felt highly impressed to reach out to Naomi Fox Reyna. She is the light field astrologer that we all love. And she had some information that I was like, I'm supposed to talk to her. I didn't know anything about astrology. At this point, I had just like opened up to being okay with it. Prior to that, I was pretty anti, like, no, there's nothing out there. That's just weird. Like, that's too woo for me. That's just too woo.
Me too.
However, the gentleness and the mantra I live by is follow the peace. And so because that it just kept feeling peaceful and I felt an impression from heaven. By this point, I know what heaven feels like and the impressions I receive. And so I trusted the feeling and I reached
Oh,
out to her. Actually, I had my husband reach out to her because he knew her and ask her if I could have a session with her and how soon I could. And then I had a session within a couple days and mind blown, right? Everything. This was what autism and ADHD, when I realized the validation of there's a reason I was doing what I was doing, the reason I was processing and seeing the world the way I was, it was so helpful for me and gave me such these beautiful lens to see myself through. And that's what astrology ended up doing too. It ended up being this way for me to understand and validate all these gifts and talents and also these struggles and these extra sensations that I was feeling. I personally, my professional work, I am an intuitive mentor and I help empaths to navigate their intuition, to hack and relieve their nervous system so that they can really heal the ancestral trauma with Christ and feel a whole lot better, feel peace, more peace, less stress. And because of all of that, what I was doing, I was realizing, oh, this is all connected.
Mhm.
Getting to know yourself, being honest with yourself, and all these extra feels that I'm feeling. There's a reason that there's certain moments in the month or the year that I just feel this extra thing happening. And it's like, oh, every single time it aligned with what was going on in the stars. And at this point, I would very much say I'm still a novice. I'm still a baby, but I can speak the language well enough that it helps me to understand me. And I can tell when a client or someone I'm working with, I can feel the energy of their signs. Being this intuitive empath that I am, I can feel the energy of other people. And when I study a sign, I can feel it in them. Scorpio, I can pick a Scorpio out of anywhere. I can feel it.
Well, you're a Scorpio moon,
I am a
so
Scorpio moon. So
there's
fun
that.
fact, I'm an Aries sun, Scorpio moon, and a Libra rising. I like that whole, like, I am this powerful leader that's feisty. I go really deep and I understand and grasp things, but I come off really nice.
Yeah, I
That's my
love that because it's follow the peace. That makes so
yep,
much sense as a Libra ascendant,
yep.
right?
Follow the peace.
Yeah, and I'm a Virgo ascendant, and mine is follow the clarity.
Ooh,
Like
yeah.
when things are clear,
Mm-hmm.
I follow that.
Yep. I love that.
I
And I
love that
think that's
too.
so important for all of us to really understand our own mantras, right? To understand
Yeah.
what it is and to share them with people because everyone needs it. The follow the peace one, everyone, it's kind of like a light bulb that has gone off. They're like, oh, it's that simple. Uh-huh. Just
It
follow the
really
peace.
is. Absolutely.
Even if it doesn't make logical sense, just follow the peace and all will be well.
I love that so much. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your intuitive art journey because this I have been on my own and we've talked about this.
Mhm.
And I didn't even know that I was actually receiving messages from God and processing my own trauma through art. I thought I was just having fun. You know what I mean? It was like I was just experimenting. I enjoyed art. I tried different kinds of techniques. I'm really into mixed media because I don't like following rules. And it came to me. Oh, and then art journaling. That was probably my first experience understanding art to be used to process big emotions. So, what got you into intuitive art?
Oh, that's a fun one too. I actually started college at 29. I had burnt out my senior year of high school. I ended up having autistic burnout, and we didn't know that's what it was, but I completely broke down and ended up having to go on homeschool for
Yeah,
like the last 6 months because of just all the stress that built up and dynamics of friendships and just all the things that happened. I just like imploded.
right.
You know
Totally.
what that's like, anyone. It's really not that fun. But I ended up going on homeschool, and because of that, it just after graduation, I had zero desire to go to college. Zero desire for college. Uh, it didn't make sense. I had no need for it. But in my late 20s, it clicked. I had healed, I had processed, I had worked professionally in multiple industries. At that time, where was I? I had just came back from Utah, working in hair and beauty industry again, and working in healthcare because I worked in healthcare for a long time as a clerk. So I went to college at 29 and I started as a business major and then quickly realized how much I highly dislike that. And then I transferred into art and realized I felt so good. So I have a foundational art background. I have a degree in 3D sculpture and design, and I have an associate's in ceramics. I love welding. I love woodworking. So this 3D hands-on visual, I'm a hyper visual person. And fast forward to where I no longer have access to a metal shop and a wood shop and have access to all the university resources, but I still needed to release. And so over time, I started to do two-dimensional. I started to draw and do different things. And then here comes my husband. I met him in 2018, and he quickly introduced me to a concept of subconscious drawing that is just that emotional release and similar to scribbling, but he
Mhm.
would give it shape. He would explain of here, you're giving it shape. And very quickly, I realized I'm not drawn from a subconscious mind. Like you are, I can feel that, but what I'm drawing is not subconscious because the things that were coming out, you put your pen to paper and you just create. And I was like, what is this? This is the coolest sensation I've ever had in my entire life. Like, what is happening? And I felt completely guided by God as I was doing it. These shapes were coming out, these designs, these colors were getting combined in ways that I was like, I consciously would never have done that. And to know how cool it was and to feel again the peace as I was doing it. And some of these, it was challenging to me because as I was doing it, I had to cross lines. And my conscious mind was like, I don't want to cross that line. It's going to ruin it and make it ugly. I don't want to put a scribble there. I don't want to do this there. But I feel that I'm supposed to, so I'm going to. And it was the funnest thing to like see this art as a tool to get through my own mind and to get through these barriers of my consciousness. And as I kept doing it, I started to feel more and I started to understand it and realizing that it was my higher conscious that was guiding me, my intuition. And that opened the door for me to realize, oh, all those things I've been feeling my whole life is intuition. Oh, that's the light of Christ. Oh, this is what
Oh,
it is. And so it just like massively opened this huge door for me when I started doing these intuitive drawings. And my husband at first was a great helper with like, hey, this feels a little funky. And I was like, you're right, I can feel that. So I had him as a helper at the beginning to help me discern things. And I started just using it for my own release to find answers. And eventually I started feeling impressions to bring it into work with clients. And so I would draw their energy or paint their energy at the time. And we would get answers of what was their blocks. We would get answers of like, I would draw something and feel an impression and be able to talk with them about it. And we would be able to get through things so quickly. And it was so validating and so cool. And I had this then resource that I could share with them and send to them. And eventually it translated to I started drawing instead of with my watercolor paints, I started drawing with just a Sharpie marker and making outlines of like coloring pages. That's what I actually have 5 different coloring books. One of them is Astrological Harmony, and I'll talk about if you want to check that out. But I started drawing energy. I can feel the energy. So as long as we set our intention, we use our faith, we engage our faith, and we act on intuitive impressions or the light of Christ. Every drawing that we make can be one that is healing for us and healing for others. As I started to learn that my drawings, when people worked with them or they even looked at them, they're like, oh, I feel these things. And I was like, nah, no, you don't. And then eventually I was like, oh, you really do feel
you
it
really
too.
do.
Oh, you do. And it was so funny. Did you have that ever when people are like, oh, I can feel this, the energy of your painting, and you're like, wait, what? You can
What?
do what?
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because yeah, like at first I was like, I just was having fun. Like that's I just was expressing myself, you know. I didn't really see it as like healing. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't I didn't see my art as actually I'm creating like instructions for healing, you
Yep.
know. And what was interesting is I had an experience. It was last year. I was in San Francisco and I was walking along this um it was a wall of art graffiti and but there was it's a strong expressive like social justice kind of activist wall. Okay. And I remember walking down this, I'll never forget this. I remember walking down the alley and looking at these paintings and just feeling the hate and the anger and the oppression. I felt everything that was created, that was the intentions that were put into these. I felt it all. And then God took me to another building and it was for women, it was like a women's shelter, a women's kind of women empowerment, you know, just to help women get back on their feet. I can't remember what it was called, but they had these beautiful paintings of women. You know, they were mothers, they were doctors. I mean, it was just like anything's possible for women, just this huge mural. And the difference of empowerment and passion and love. And that was the day that I was like, I need to be very aware of the intentions I have when I create.
Yep. The intentions matter.
They
And
do.
it's the beauty of just one of the reasons I love using art and drawing, and I find that I continually teach with it, is by putting it on paper and setting your intention again with intuition, faith, and that's what you're setting your intention with is intuition, your guidance by God, and you're using your faith to enact it. You're literally giving yourself a visual of what you're feeling. And
Mhm.
it's so empowering to literally see it, whether it's the colors you're using, the shapes you're using, or just the most obscure thing can happen, that you draw a triangle and all of a sudden you're like, I feel that that's a pyramid in Egypt. And you're like, what? Where did that feeling and sensation come from? And it's like,
Right.
drawing and coloring is so beautiful to help you like build your trust and your intuition, your gifts, because it's not a big scary thing to follow an impression to use the color purple.
It's
It's
not.
not a big scary impression to
Mhm.
be like, oh, I'm supposed to scribble. I mean, you might have some like I did where it's like, I don't want to cross that line. And
I
so
don't
you
want to
have
mess
to
it up.
realize though, it's only a piece of paper. It's
Absolutely.
okay. I can do it again. I can throw, and when you feel the release, to throw that paper away, Aleisha, that visceral sensation of tearing up that energy that you're like, I'm done. This is complete. How good does that feel? Like I've done it from
So
just
good.
printer paper to my like fancy art paper. And I'm like, just like it's complete, right? To get
Yes,
that sensation. And I don't know any other form or medium where you can actually see it, sense it, feel it, impress upon it, right? Feel the impressions upon it. And then if you need to, also tear it up or burn it or get rid of it. I mean, you can, I guess, with bigger things, but it's a more simple way to process. And I think
absolutely.
because in because we're learning to feel everything, and especially my dear little sweet, all my neurodivergents, let me rephrase, all empaths are not neurodivergent,
I
but
agree.
all neurodivergent folks, my dears, we are empaths. We are the big feelers. And it doesn't mean that you feel emotions. It can mean that you feel frequencies of other things. You can feel the earth. You can feel trees and plants and rocks or animals. You can feel anything. You can just, but all of us are. We're all big feelers. And so you need a form of release, whatever that looks like for you. I teach intuitive dance, intuitive voice, intuitive body movement, all of the things. You have to have a way to get it out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that you're absolutely right about using art as the medium because it is low risk.
Mhm.
You know, although the Virgo here is like, I don't want to mess it up. So when you look at it as just like a process,
Yep.
that it's not a finished product. We're not looking
Mhm.
for controlling the outcome. That's
Yep.
not why we're doing this. There's
Nope.
art to like you have a vision of how you want it to look,
Yep.
and that's fine. But this kind of art is, and I think that's where I got kind of stuck too, is because I was like, it needs to look like this. This is how I see it in my head. It needs to look like this. And then God was like, we are working through your perfectionism here. This
Yep.
is what we're doing. We're not becoming an artist. We're just working through your perfectionism. And he was using art as that medium for me.
Yep.
And but I would love for you to show us some of
Yeah.
your coloring books because I have done your coloring pages for the astrological signs, and it is amazing to me the pictures. And I think the thing that's really important to remember about intuitive art is it's all about the subtle. Am I right?
It is very much so. Yep. And what's really interesting with astrology in general, one of the reasons I even love using this with astrology and why this coloring book got created and the impression to create it is it gives us a tool to, again, get to know ourselves in new ways and to see the energy and feel the energy. And it even helps you to, like you said, well, my Virgo does not, my Virgo wants the perfectionism. Some of us don't recognize that about ourselves. We may have the perfectionism in us, but they're not realizing what it is. And so you even get to know your signs through intuitive coloring. You get to
Yes.
see the clarity of how you're processing and what you're
Yes.
doing. So this is my
I
coloring book.
love that.
Let's see if I can get it smaller because I didn't realize how gigantor it would be. So this is this is
It's
the
beautiful.
intuitive coloring, specifically the astrological harmony. So in this coloring book, I created the signs, all 12 signs. So we have our Aries, we have the Taurus, we have Gemini, we have Cancer, and all this is just a base understanding or a base energy of what I feel are in these signs. And then what you do with it is you get to take it and color on it, like Aleisha said. Like, and the beauty, there is zero expectation of what this is supposed to look like. You can literally, it is the act of faith to pick up a pencil. It is an act of faith to print it out or to look at it and any action, I don't care how big or how small, it is an act of faith when you do something. So even just opening it up and looking at it could give you insights for yourself, because it's not my stuff giving you insights, it's your action that's giving you insights. I just get to create a tool that encourages you to take action.
Right.
Like,
So let me explain a little bit, just like the process by me
mhm,
looking at this Leo.
yeah.
Okay. So immediately I saw a person in the middle, a head, and it's like a little body. I wish I could show you, but I see it looks like kind of like it doesn't really have feet, but I see a figure of a person. And then further down, I see a microphone and I see frequency coming out of the microphone, but then I also see a submarine. And I'm wondering, okay, so I'm seeing these pictures and you can color them if you want to, and I've done that before. But what is that teaching me about Leo?
So
Okay.
it's helping you, it's setting your intention for you. So when you're working with this specific page, it helps you to set your intention to know that this is for Leo. I'm looking to get insight about Leo here.
Hmm.
It's helping you to just set your intention.
Hmm.
And when your intention is set that you're going to insight about your Leo, about the Leo in your relationship, whatever Leo that you're looking to work on or to figure out, it just gives you additional insights to it. When I looked at it this time, immediately I saw this felt like a crown to me in new ways that I haven't sensed before. Like
Hmm.
I saw a crown at the top. This felt like an eye, like a mask, kind of like the Phantom of the Opera mask. It felt like this time.
Oh,
And I've never
totally.
felt that looking at this
I see
before.
that.
And
Okay.
so it's fun. And these are people to me sitting, and I get the submarine energy and just this depth of different things. But what's really cool is when you start to put color on it or you start to put words, the feeling of it changes and you get answers for you. And so when it comes to Leo, why I love intuitive coloring is because it helps you to see usually where the shadow is or where you might have some funky blocks or where something's coming. And it's not a matter of like punching you in the face with, kicking you in the shin with this massive thing. It's like, oh, here's a memory, or here's a visual or something that you're like, oh, that's what it is. That's what caused it to be this. Or it helps to validate where these things are coming from, because we all have blocks for a reason. We all have it, and working on it just helps you to really identify with the power that's there. It helps you realize, because Leo is powerful, right? Leo is this big fun energy. And if
Hmm.
you're someone who is a Leo but you're not identifying with that energy, my dear, there's something in shadow. There's
Hmm.
something that's amiss and not in alignment. And so by coloring, you get to see where your strengths are in that sign. But at the same time, you're likely also going to be shown where the shadows are, where you have, oh, that's what's going on. And I really encourage, if you can, to be able to get the physical copies fun for a one-time go through, which I have on Amazon, but the printouts where you can print out like 5 Leos and you just treat them like in essence, like a prescription page for yourself. You color on it until you feel peace. You're like, oh, this one's done. Oh, I got to do another one. And you can intuitively feel that. Maybe you need a color on 2 of them. Maybe you need a color on 50 of them. I don't know. But that's kind of the meaning behind what you're doing as you're sensing it. Is it helps to validate your strengths while also gently showing you where your weaknesses are or where your struggles might be. And it just helps you to see, oh, that's what's going on. Because you really
Right.
are engaging multiple parts of your mind, even your physical biology. This isn't just the energy. I'm looking to get research on this. So if anyone knows a connection, hey. Um, but to get the biology of the brain, because it's engaging different parts,
Hmm.
because you're engaging with the intuitive, the higher conscious mind, you're also engaging with the conscious mind to give permission to do this. But your subconscious is also shown up because that's where your fears are, that's where blocks are. And so your intuition is guiding you to find all these things while your conscious mind is questioning, and all these things are just in motion. And it's really fun.
It is. It's so cool. And like you said, we can be, I mean, the word sometimes, like when you feel so overwhelmed and you're in meltdown mode, sometimes you have violent feelings and
Mhm.
you can be violent with that
Yep.
paper. I have cut it with scissors. I have taken a pencil and just like, just shredded it to death. And it's so liberating because there's so much shame sometimes that comes
Yeah.
from that kind of rage and anger that the autistic or even ADHD, the neurodivergent brain can feel. And you just have to get it out. And it's a safe way to do it.
I agree. It's safe, it's gentle, it can be fun, right?
Mhm.
If especially you already are comfortable working with art and it's fun. But there are so many that have such trauma surrounding working on it or have even their stars are lined up that say you're going to have a hard time being creative. My
Mhm.
big thing with intuitive coloring in general, again, I have lots of mantras and things I go by is that you do not have to be creative to step into your creation power. There is no creativity necessary to be a creator. You just have to learn to tune into your higher conscious where you're connecting with God and receiving revelation. Then you have full access to that power.
Yeah.
But creativity is not a part of it. So it does not have to look cute. It does not have to look
It's not
cute.
Pinterest worthy.
No, no, you don't even need to save them. You can throw them away every single time. And here's
Mhm.
the intention. The beauty of intuitive coloring is I have these foundational pages to help people get started, but you don't need them. You can grab a piece of printer paper and a pencil if you want. And if you feel it in you, you just start creating. In that same regard, actually, can I share the free class that I have on this?
Absolutely,
So I
please.
actually have a free class. It's on my main webpage, sarahjonesmentoring.com. If you scroll down, there's a class. It's in a little trifecta thing, but it's called Release Your Fear of Judgment. It's an intuitive coloring class specifically geared towards helping you release your fear of judgment. And in that coloring class, that intuitive coloring class, I have 20 free coloring pages all around releasing your fear of judgment. Fear of judgment around astrology. I actually have one specifically for fear of judgment around astrology. There's even ones about divorce or about weight or body size. There's one about poverty or abundance. Like there's a whole slew of just this fear of judgment. And they're a great starter if you're like, let me try this, let me check this out. Because most of us have some type of fear of judgment. Just saying.
Well,
That's one
yeah,
of our
rejection
things.
sensitivity dysphoria.
Hey.
Right?
And it is. But one of them is the astrology. So if you have a fear of judgment around astrology, it will help you as you're working on it and you're coloring on it. You're going to get the answers of, because again, the intention is set with the title of the page and the foundation of that drawing of, I'm going to learn more about my fear of astrology and I'm going to help release whatever it is that's coming up and I'm going to be able to find it. And there we go. And it helps you to let it go.
Oh, I love it.
It's so
I
fun.
love it, love it, love it so much. Thank you so much for sharing this. Because I think that's I think that's just a huge reason why I'm doing this podcast is to show people healing can come in lots of different ways.
Yep.
You have your different flavor of zodiac sign in you because there's a different flavor, right?
Yep.
And also, yeah, like it's okay to be weird. This is weird. This is totally weird. You know, I have a painting. I'm not gonna show the full, but like I did my own and I've never felt more present. I was channeling something. That's the first time I've actually ever felt like art was just like completely clear channel of something that God downloaded through me.
Yep.
Um, I've never been able to get to that again. So I would love to know why. But here's the other thing too, is I feel that way when I make essential oil blends. I have an
Yep.
intention. I set the intention of what I want to work through, and then it just comes. And then I even get messages from the essential oils themselves.
Yep.
Is that totally weird? Yes. But effective? Absolutely. And isn't that the point? That's the
Yes.
point, right? We need to
Yes.
find something that's effective and that works for us because we feel all the things and we need an outlet. I couldn't agree with you more.
We
So
need
thank
an
you.
outlet. And this is what's funny. Again, we're going to go with Aries, Sun, Scorpio, Moon, Libra rising energy right here. And I'm positive there's other things going on in my chart, my houses, and all the things. But being weird has not been comfortable for me in any way, shape, or form. I am not the Pisces that embraces, I am the weird. I am not. That is not where I'm at. Okay. That's
Or
no.
Aquarius.
Or Aquarius, or yeah, where you own it. That I don't. However, I have been told recently with my business, I have a business mentor, and he taught us how to do like a timeline jumping. Not It's just where you look in to see that future timeline that you want to be on and what took you to get there. What did you have to start doing or stop doing to get there? And one of the things that showed up in my session was I have to stop being afraid of being weird. And it was that moment that clicked.
Yeah, for sure. Oh,
And I was like, I am weird.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's okay because my weird helps people. And I learn and I grow. And we're
No,
frozen. And I can't tell if it's her or me.
we're
I think it's
frozen.
her, me. Oh no.
But this
No,
is
it's
weird,
mine.
and it's
Oh, there we
okay.
go. It was unstable. My apologies. But it's the concept that like embracing being weird, finally embracing being weird shifted my business for me and realizing that I need to show up as weird and embrace it and not be afraid of it. And it is a-okay.
I love it.
So here is my to my weird leadership. Here is to my weird growth, my weird, things. Here's my weird. And
Here's
it's a
my
weird that
weird.
feels good.
Ooh, that's a great tagline. Here's my weird. I'm writing that down.
Good. Here's my weird. Yeah.
I love that. Oh, this is so good. Okay, so one last question. I always
Yeah.
ask this for all of my guests.
Yeah.
What is your advice? What's your best heartfelt advice for those that just found out they're neurodivergent?
If you've just found out, yeah, you just found out you just found out you're neurodivergent. Be willing to be honest with yourself. Be willing to be honest and understand that you're going to feel like, at least my experience was immense relief, but then came the anger. My anger took time to come, but I had to grieve it. I had to grieve not only the diagnosis or the idea. I had to grieve the life I actually had because of this undiagnosed thing. I had to grieve the life I didn't have that I always wanted, that I was trying to fight for in this neurotypical concepts. And I had to also grieve that I have a brain that literally to do things that other people's.
Yeah, I lost you again. Oh, shoot. Are you there? Okay. Well,
Oh, I'm back. Hold on. Third
there
one.
you
I
are.
had it.
There you
I was
are.
saving it. If you're editing it, if not, it's totally fine. But
I
that
don't.
third
I don't
one
edit.
is what?
I don't edit.
You're like, no, no. But the third one is actually grieving that I have a biology of my brain that's not going to change without massive, massive turning to Christ and saying, please heal this and working with it. And so grief has been I've had to become friends with grieving, which includes the sadness, which includes the anger, which includes the loss, which includes all the feelings. So honesty and understanding and embracing that you are going to grieve and letting yourself do that.
And let yourself do that.
Those are my two, just from experience. But I didn't get mad for like 2 years. I didn't get angry. It took 2 years after I like came out of my autistic closet to be like, oh, I'm mad.
Well, that anger was probably, again, that Scorpio moon. You probably had that
Took some time.
really deep down in there.
Yeah,
It took some time.
took some time. But I do know that you will grieve.
Yeah, I agree.
Give yourself that permission.
Thank you so much for being here. This was
You're
so
so
great.
welcome.
Oh,
Thanks for having me. It's been so wonderful.
yes, absolutely. And I will leave her links below. So
Perfect. And fun fact, Aleisha has a code.
I
Um,
do. I do have a code.
Aleisha has a code. So I have physical copies and PDF copies on my website. It's sarahjonesmentoring.com/intuitive coloring will get you to the page with all the free one. The free one is connected there. It's at the very bottom, or I have PDFs or physical copies, but the PDFs is where you get the discount with Aleisha.
Right.
So,
And then you have a chance to keep printing them, which
yeah,
is the way to go, for
way
sure.
to go. Okay.
Okay, so
Thank you,
I'll leave
Miss.
that
Have the
link
most
below.
amazing day. Bye, all
Thanks.
of you friends. Okay,
Bye.
bye.